Most people believe success is about talent. Some think it's about intelligence. Others believe it's luck, timing, or knowing the right people. But the truth is quieter than that, and far more powerful. Your life is shaped, every single day, by how well you control your emotions. Not the emotions you show in public. The ones you feel when no one is watching. The ones that rise when things don't go your way. The ones that appear when you feel disrespected, ignored, overwhelmed, or uncertain. This audiobook is called Master Emotional Intelligence. And this is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. Because emotional intelligence is not softness. It is strength under pressure. It is clarity in chaos. It is the ability to pause while others explode, to think while others react, to remain calm while others lose control. Think about it. How many opportunities were lost because of one emotional reaction? How many relationships were damaged by words spoken in the heat of the moment? How many decisions were made from fear, anger, insecurity, or impatience? Emotions are powerful forces. Left unmanaged, they run your life. Mastered, they work for you. This audiobook is not here to motivate you for a moment. It's here to reprogram how you respond to life. Because the person who controls their emotions controls their decisions, their relationships, their money, their confidence, their future. You don't need a new personality. You don't need to suppress what you feel. You need emotional discipline. Let's be honest. Most people are not struggling because life is too hard. They're struggling because they react instead of respond. They let temporary feelings dictate permanent choices. They say things they don't mean. They quit when discomfort shows up. They avoid responsibility because fear feels safer than growth. But the emotionally intelligent person moves differently. They feel the emotion, but they don't obey it. They experience frustration, but they don't become it. They face pressure, but they don't break. This is what separates leaders from followers. Calm from chaos, power from regret. And here's the truth most people never hear. Emotional intelligence is trained. Not inherited, not gifted, not automatic. It is built, decision by decision, moment by moment. This audiobook will show you how. You will learn how to stay calm when everything triggers you, how to stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently, how to master your inner dialogue, how to remain grounded under pressure, how to turn emotional control into real-world success. This is not theory. This is daily practice. Because every day, life will test you. Someone will disrespect you. Something will go wrong. A plan will fail. A delay will frustrate you. And in that moment, you will choose one of two paths. The path of reaction or the path of control. One weakens you, the other builds power. From this point forward, you are no longer a passenger in your emotional life. You are the driver. And it starts with understanding one critical truth. You do not control what happens. You control how you respond. That single shift changes everything. Take a breath, slow down. Because in the next chapter, you will learn how your thoughts secretly create your emotional storms and how to stop them before they start. This is where mastery begins. Chapter 2. Your thoughts are the spark. Every emotional reaction begins the same way. Not with the situation, not with the person, not with what happened. It begins with a thought, a quiet sentence in your mind, a fast interpretation, a meaning you assign, often without realizing it. Someone doesn't reply to your message. The event is neutral, but your mind says, "I'm being ignored." A mistake happens at work. The fact is simple, but your mind whispers, "I'm not good enough." A plan falls apart. Reality is flexible, but your mind shouts, "Everything always goes wrong." And the moment that thought lands, emotion follows. Frustration, anger, anxiety, self-doubt. This is the loop most people never escape. Thought, emotion, reaction, consequence. They live inside it their entire lives. But emotional intelligence starts when you interrupt that loop. Because here's the truth. Your thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations. And interpretations can be challenged. The emotionally untrained mind believes every thought it produces. The emotionally intelligent mind questions them. That pause, right there, is power. Think about how fast emotions rise. Milliseconds before logic arrives, before reason speaks. That's why most people say, "I don't know what happened, I just reacted." Yes, you reacted to a thought you never examined. Emotional intelligence teaches you to slow that moment down, not suppress emotion, not deny feeling, but observe before obeying. Ask yourself this one question: is this thought helping me or hurting me? Most emotional chaos comes from unchallenged narratives. They disrespected me. I'm being judged. This means I'm failing. I can't handle this. Your mind fills gaps with assumptions, and those assumptions create emotional storms. But here's what calm, powerful people understand. They don't need certainty. They need clarity. They learn to separate what happened from what they're telling themselves about it. That separation creates space. Space creates control. Let's get practical. When emotion rises, anger, fear, insecurity, do not ask, "Why do I feel this way?" That keeps you inside emotion. Instead, ask, "What thought just passed through my mind?" Because if you can identify the thought, you can reshape the emotion. Not by lying to yourself, by grounding yourself. Instead of, "I'm being attacked," try, "Something happened, and I'm interpreting it." Instead of, "This is a disaster," try, "This is uncomfortable, but temporary." Instead of, "I'm losing control," try, "I'm feeling pressure, and I'm still choosing my response." These are not affirmations, they are anchors. They pull you out of emotional freefall. This is why calm people seem powerful, not because they feel less, but because they think cleaner. They don't let the mind spiral unchecked. They recognize the difference between reaction and response. Reaction is automatic. Response is trained. And training begins with awareness. Right now, your emotions feel automatic because your thoughts are unconscious. But once you shine light on them, you regain choice. And choice is the foundation of emotional mastery. In the next chapter, you'll learn how to build emotional discipline under pressure, when awareness alone is not enough. Because true emotional intelligence isn't proven when life is calm. It's proven when everything inside you wants to explode, and you stay steady anyway. Chapter 3. Emotional discipline under pressure. Anyone can stay calm when life is quiet. Anyone can speak gently when nothing is at stake. Anyone can think clearly when there is no pressure. Emotional intelligence is not tested in comfort. It is tested when your heart rate spikes, when your chest tightens, when your ego feels threatened, when everything inside you wants to react now. This is where most people lose control. Pressure exposes training. Under stress, the mind doesn't rise to intention, it falls back to habit. That's why people who know better still explode. That's why smart people make emotional mistakes. That's why success collapses in moments of anger, fear, or pride. Because emotional discipline was never built. Discipline is not suppression. It is delayed reaction. The emotionally intelligent person feels the surge, but does not obey it. They have learned something critical. Emotion is energy, not instruction. Just because you feel something does not mean you must act on it. Anger is information. Fear is a signal. Anxiety is a message. But messages are meant to be read, not blindly followed. When pressure hits, your first job is not to respond. Your first job is to create space. Space between stimulus and action. That space might be one breath. It might be 5 seconds. It might be silence instead of speech. But inside that space lives power. Here is a rule emotionally disciplined people live by. Never make decisions at emotional peak. Not when you're furious, not when you're overwhelmed, not when you feel humiliated, not when fear is loud. Peak emotion hijacks logic. Your body is flooded with chemicals designed for survival, not wisdom. So the practice is simple, but not easy. When emotion spikes, slow the body first. Lower your voice, relax your jaw, drop your shoulders, breathe deeper than feels natural. This isn't spiritual, it's biological. Your body calms the mind, not the other way around. Once the body slows, clarity begins to return. Then, and only then, do you ask, what response serves my long-term outcome? Not, what do I want to say right now? Not, what feels justified, but, what preserves my power? Emotionally intelligent people play the long game. They understand something most never learn. Winning the moment can cost you the future. A sharp reply can destroy trust. A reactive decision can cost money. An emotional outburst can ruin reputation. Calm people keep leverage. They let others lose control while they remain steady. And here's the paradox. The calmer you stay, the more authority you gain. People listen to the person who doesn't flinch. They follow the one who doesn't react impulsively. They respect the one who remains grounded under fire. This is not weakness. This is dominance through discipline. But discipline is trained, not wished for. It's built in small moments. Choosing silence instead of reaction. Choosing pause instead of impulse. Choosing breath instead of words. Each time you do this, you strengthen the muscle. And slowly, something changes. You stop fearing your emotions. You stop being controlled by them. You stop regretting your reactions. You become composed, not cold. Present, not passive. Powerful, not explosive. In the next chapter, we will talk about emotional triggers, the specific patterns that repeatedly hijack your behavior and how to disarm them permanently. Because awareness is step 1. Discipline is step 2. But mastery requires knowing exactly where you're vulnerable. And that's where we're going next. Chapter 4. Identifying and disarming your emotional triggers. Every emotional overreaction has a pattern. It may feel sudden, but it is never random. Some words hit harder than others. Some situations drain you faster. Some people seem to flip a switch inside you. Those are not coincidences. They are triggers. A trigger is an emotional shortcut your mind learned long ago. A fast path from stimulus to reaction, built through repetition, pain, or conditioning. And here's the truth most people avoid. You are not reacting to the present moment. You are reacting to a memory. That sharp comment from your boss? It echoes an old wound about being dismissed. That criticism from a partner? It hits the fear of not being enough. That disrespect from a stranger? It taps into unresolved pride. Until you identify these triggers, you will keep reliving the same emotional loops. Different faces, same reaction, same regret. Emotional intelligence begins with pattern recognition. Ask yourself this: what situations consistently drain me? What comments immediately raise my voice? What moments make me defensive without thinking? Those are not flaws. They are signals. Triggers point to areas that need awareness, not shame. Here is the rule. What triggers you controls you until you study it. So you must slow down and observe yourself. Not during the emotional storm, but after. Replay the moment. Not to judge yourself, but to understand the sequence. What was said? What story did my mind tell? What emotion followed? What action came next? You will begin to see the chain. Trigger, thought, emotion, reaction. Break the chain at the thought. Because thoughts ignite emotions, and thoughts are trainable. Most people never question the first thought that appears. They assume it's truth. But emotional intelligence asks a different question. Is this interpretation accurate or automatic? For example, someone doesn't respond to your message. Automatic thought, they don't respect me. Alternative thought, they may be busy. I don't know yet. Same situation, different emotional outcome. Your power lives in reframing. Not denying reality, but expanding perspective. When you catch a trigger in real time, do this. Name it silently. I'm feeling triggered. I'm feeling dismissed. I'm feeling threatened. Naming creates distance. Distance creates choice. Choice creates control. Then ask one grounding question. What is the most intelligent response available right now? Not the most satisfying, not the most emotional, the most intelligent. Sometimes the answer is silence. Sometimes it's a calm boundary. Sometimes it's walking away. Walking away is not weakness. Walking away is strategy. Emotionally intelligent people do not attend every argument they're invited to. They protect their energy like currency. Because energy spent emotionally is energy stolen from growth. Once you disarm your triggers, something powerful happens. People lose the ability to control you. They can still speak. They can still act. But they no longer command your inner state. And that is freedom. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into emotional regulation in relationships, leadership, and money. Because emotions don't just affect feelings, they affect decisions, trust, influence, and wealth. And mastering them changes everything. Chapter 5. Emotional Control. In relationships, leadership, and money. Your emotions don't live in isolation. They travel with you into conversations, into negotiations, into relationships, into leadership moments, and into financial decisions. This is where emotional intelligence stops being self-help and starts becoming life leverage. Let's start with relationships. Most conflicts are not about what was said. They are about how someone felt. Two people can hear the same words. One feels attacked, the other feels neutral. Why? Because emotions interpret before logic responds. When emotional intelligence is low, relationships become reaction-based. One person triggers, the other retaliates. Escalation replaces understanding. But when emotional intelligence is high, something shifts. You stop trying to win the moment and start protecting the connection. That doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It means responding with intention instead of impulse. Here is the emotional intelligence rule in relationships. Respond to emotions, not just words. When someone is angry, responding with facts often fails. When someone is hurt, responding with logic misses the point. Emotion must be acknowledged before resolution is possible. Sometimes the most powerful response is simple. I hear you. I understand how that felt. Let's slow this down. Those phrases disarm conflict faster than arguments ever will. Now leadership. Leadership is not about authority. It is about emotional presence. People don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the most regulated one. A leader who panics creates panic. A leader who stays calm creates confidence. This is why emotional intelligence separates respected leaders from reactive managers. In moments of pressure, people are watching. How do you speak when things go wrong? How do you react when challenged? How do you handle disagreement? Your emotional responses train others how safe it is to follow you. Control creates trust. Trust creates influence. If you want people to believe in you, they must first feel stable around you. Now money, the area where emotional intelligence is most ignored. Most financial mistakes are not math problems. They are emotional decisions. Fear causes panic selling. Greed causes reckless investing. Ego causes overspending. Impatience causes bad timing. Money amplifies emotional habits. If you are impulsive emotionally, you will be impulsive financially. If you chase validation emotionally, you will chase status financially. That's why emotional intelligence equals financial discipline. The emotionally intelligent person delays gratification, thinks long-term, makes decisions when calm, walks away from emotional purchases, doesn't let mood dictate money. Here is a truth few admit. Every emotional spike has a financial cost. Stress reduces clarity. Clarity reduces mistakes. The calmer you are, the more intelligent your financial decisions become. This is why calm is power, not passive calm. Disciplined calm, the kind that pauses before reacting, the kind that thinks before responding, the kind that chooses control over chaos. When you master your emotions across relationships, leadership, and money, You stop leaking energy. You stop reacting your life away. You begin directing it. In the next chapter, we will talk about how to build daily emotional discipline, so emotional intelligence becomes automatic, not something you have to try to remember. Because mastery is not about effort. It's about conditioning. Chapter 6. Building Daily Emotional Discipline, the Inner Training. Emotional intelligence is not a personality trait. It is not something you are born with or without. It is trained, just like a muscle. And like every muscle, it grows through consistent resistance, not occasional effort. Most people fail at emotional control because they treat it as an emergency tool. They try to stay calm only when things are already falling apart. That's like trying to build strength only when you're lifting something heavy. Discipline doesn't work that way. Control is built before pressure arrives. So let's talk about daily emotional training. First principle, awareness before control. You cannot manage what you don't notice. Most emotional reactions happen unconsciously. The body reacts before the mind checks in. That's why the first habit of emotional discipline is simple. Name what you feel. Not judge it, not suppress it, not act on it, just identify it. I'm irritated. I'm anxious. I'm frustrated. I'm defensive. This creates space. When you name an emotion, you move from being inside the emotion to observing it. That small gap is where control begins. Second principle, delay the response. Emotions demand immediacy. Wisdom operates with timing. The emotionally disciplined person builds a rule. No major responses while emotional. No big texts. No heated conversations. No financial decisions. No confrontations. Just delay. Even 5 minutes can change everything, because emotions peak and fall. They don't last forever unless you feed them. Delay starves impulsive reactions. Third principle, regulate the body to regulate the mind. Emotions live in the nervous system. If your body is overstimulated, your mind will follow. That's why emotional discipline includes physical practices, slow breathing, controlled movement, grounding exercises, stillness. A calm body sends a message to the brain. There is no immediate threat. From that state, clarity returns. Fourth principle, choose interpretation carefully. Emotions don't come from events. They come from meaning. Two people experience the same situation. One feels calm, one feels furious. The difference is interpretation. The emotionally intelligent person asks, what story am I telling myself right now? Is it assumption? Is it personalization? Is it worst-case thinking? Changing the story changes the emotion. This is not denial. It's discipline. Fifth principle, practice emotional restraint daily, not occasionally. Restraint is a skill. That means choosing not to react when you could, letting a comment pass, ignoring provocation, walking away from unnecessary conflict. Not because you're weak, but because you're strategic. You don't need to win every exchange. You need to win your life. Each time you pause instead of react, you reinforce control. Each time you choose calm, you strengthen emotional authority. Over time, this becomes automatic. You stop fighting emotions, you start directing them. This is when emotional intelligence stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. In the next chapter, we'll address the hardest part of mastery. Handling negative emotions without suppressing them and using them as fuel instead of poison. Because emotional strength is not about never feeling. It's about feeling without losing yourself. Chapter 7. Mastering negative emotions without losing power. Negative emotions are not the enemy. That may surprise you. Most people believe emotional mastery means eliminating anger, fear, sadness, or frustration. They try to push them away. They suppress them. They pretend they're not there. And that's exactly why those emotions end up controlling them. Because what you resist does not disappear. It waits. Emotional intelligence is not about shutting emotions down. It's about handling them without handing over control. Let's start with the truth most people avoid. Negative emotions carry information. Anger often signals violated boundaries. Fear points to perceived risk. Sadness highlights loss or unmet needs. Frustration reveals resistance between effort and outcome. The problem is not the emotion. The problem is what people do next. They explode, they shut down, they sabotage, they distract. The emotionally intelligent person does something different. They listen without obeying. First rule, feel it fully, but briefly. Emotions demand acknowledgement. If you deny them, they intensify. If you drown in them, they dominate. The middle path is power. You say, I feel this, I allow it, but I do not become it. You sit with the sensation. You observe it without narrative. You let it rise and fall. Most emotions peak within minutes when not fed by thoughts. That's mastery. Second rule, separate emotion from identity. You are not angry. You are experiencing anger. You are not anxious. You are feeling anxiety. You are not broken. You are processing discomfort. Language matters. When you identify as the emotion, you surrender authority. When you experience the emotion, you retain leadership. Emotion is weather. You are the sky. Third rule, transmute emotion into action, not reaction. Every emotion contains energy. Anger has drive. Fear sharpens awareness. Sadness deepens reflection. The question is, where does the energy go? Most people release it destructively. The emotionally intelligent person redirects it. Anger becomes boundaries. Fear becomes preparation. Sadness becomes clarity. Frustration becomes strategy. Emotion becomes fuel, not fire. Fourth rule, do not solve life while emotional. This is critical. Strong emotions distort perception. When emotional, your brain prioritizes relief over truth. It wants the feeling gone, not the right decision made. So you pause. You say, this is not the moment for conclusions. You wait for emotional neutrality before choosing direction. This single rule saves careers, relationships, finances, and futures. Fifth rule, build emotional recovery speed. Strength is not about never falling. It's about how fast you return to center. The emotionally intelligent person doesn't spiral for days. They don't replay conversations endlessly. They don't punish themselves mentally. They reset. They ask, what's the lesson? What's within my control? What's next? Then they move forward. This is emotional maturity. Not perfection, not numbness, resilience. And when you master negative emotions this way, something powerful happens. You stop fearing them. You realize they cannot overpower you unless you hand them the keys. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into one of the most expensive emotional failures people make, reacting instead of responding, and how calm response becomes a competitive advantage in life, leadership, and success. Because in a reactive world, the calm mind wins. Chapter 8. Respond, don't react. The calm advantage. Most people don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they react too fast. They speak before thinking. They decide before understanding. They act before stabilizing. Reaction feels powerful in the moment, but it's expensive. It costs respect. It costs trust. It costs opportunities. It costs peace. Reaction is emotional autopilot. Response is emotional intelligence in motion. And the difference between the two determines who rises and who stays stuck. Let's be clear about something. Reaction is unconscious. Response is intentional. When someone disrespects you, when plans fall apart, when pressure rises, when expectations are violated, your nervous system fires instantly. Heart rate increases, breath shortens, thoughts narrow. This is not failure, it's biology. But what happens next is a choice. The emotionally intelligent person inserts space. Space between trigger and action, space between feeling and decision, space between impulse and words. That space is where power lives. First principle, silence is strength. You do not owe anyone an immediate response. Silence is not weakness. Silence is regulation. When emotions spike, pause your mouth. Breathe slowly, lower your shoulders, ground your body. Even a few seconds shifts the brain from reaction to reason. Leaders understand this. They don't rush to speak. They choose to speak. Second principle. Slow thinking beats fast emotion. Fast emotion wants relief. Slow thinking wants accuracy. When emotional, ask yourself, what is actually happening, not what I'm assuming? Emotion fills gaps with stories. Calm fills gaps with facts. You slow down the moment, and suddenly the situation shrinks. Third principle. Not everything requires a response. This is one of the most liberating truths. Every comment does not deserve engagement. Every opinion does not deserve defense. Every provocation does not deserve energy. Emotional intelligence includes selective attention. You don't ignore reality. You ignore distractions. Your time, focus, and emotional energy are assets. Spend them wisely. Fourth principle. Choose dignity over dominance. Reaction often tries to win the moment. Response aims to win the long game. You don't need to prove yourself through volume, sarcasm, or aggression. Calm confidence speaks louder than force. When you remain composed under pressure, people notice. They trust you, they follow you, they respect you. Fifth principle. Delay decisions under emotional charge. Emotion compresses perspective. What feels urgent now may be irrelevant tomorrow. So you delay. You say, I'll revisit this when I'm clear. That pause protects you from irreversible mistakes. The calm advantage is not flashy. It doesn't announce itself, but it quietly shapes outcomes. The calm person thinks clearly under pressure, communicates effectively, makes better decisions, builds long-term credibility. They become a stabilizing force in chaos. And here's the secret most people miss. Calm is not passive. Calm is trained. It's built through repetition, through awareness, through discipline, and once you develop it, very little can shake you. If this audiobook resonated with you, reflect on this question. Which emotion has been costing you the most? And what would your life look like if you mastered it? And tell us, what topic should we explore next? Because the journey of self-mastery never ends, and neither does your potential.